dancers, welcome to another tutorial. Today we are discussing all things shimmies, and this is kind of the iconic and quintessential, most recognizable movement in the belly dancing repertoire, so we are going to discuss how to improve it, some common tips and tricks, some troubleshooting, and let's just get started. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is where should the shimmy originate from. Now this does depend on the type of shimmy you're doing. There are dozens of different styles, shapes, and techniques that you can do. For a vertical shimmy, for a large, loose, oblique shimmy, you need to have a very deep bend in the knee and a lift through the hip bones. So always visualize lasers coming out of your iliac crest, that little hip bone that points forward here. Make sure those lasers are up and not downward. Alright, so lasers straight forward, knees are bent, and the weight for a nice relaxed shimmy should really be in the heels. So one thing you can do to practice is actually lift up your toes while you practice. This helps you to lift and shift your weight down and back. The other postural or alignment thing to consider is that for a shimmy, really, at least for the oblique shimmy, really get your heels and knees directly under your hip socket. So really kind of visualize, and you can even kind of try to feel where your femur comes up into your hip area, and really visualize that hip socket being in direct line down to your heel. Alright, so everything goes in a straight line down this way, and if you view it from the front, the knees are in alignment with that as well. They're not turning out, they're not bowing or turning in like so. The other thing to really think about for an advanced dancer, this is something you don't want to worry about if you're new to shimmies, but if you're an advanced dancer and you want to loosen up and make that shimmy really nice and big, is that you need to actually release the muscles in the pelvic floor as well as the muscles along the side of the leg. So when we're in our proper alignment and our proper plie, of course the quads are engaged because they are supporting the weight. But really imagine all of those crisscrossing muscles along the pelvic floor. Those are very often tight. There can even be a lot of adhesions. You can try to think of releasing tension around your hip socket and your pelvis, your pubic bone, and your tailbone. So really try to let go of those muscles as much as you can. And immediately, if you can think of where those muscles are, if you can tell those muscles to relax, you can immediately feel a loosening sensation. The second thing that tends to happen is dancers tend to try to take a sharp contraction and speed it up. This is okay about to double time, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8. You can make that a little bit sharp. But what I like to do, and what my students will know that I do, is I take people through a progression from going in a soft contraction and a small contraction. So this is our slow motion shimmy here, and we would slowly speed that up without increasing sharpness or size. Now if you want a big shimmy, that movement is still fairly large. Coming from here, coming from my obliques, lift, 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 and not from my legs. Once we start moving in the legs to create the shimmy, it creates reverb or reaction in the upper body. Pop, 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 pop. Even my hair, I don't know if my hair's in the frame, but even my hair is sort of bouncing along with the shimmy, because when I push my femur up, there's nothing to keep that from kind of sending a shock wave through the rest of my body. Whereas when we have our knees bent and stable, allowing the movement to happen but not jostling, now we have the ability to lift everything up and away and create more stability. So use your obliques, but keep that movement a soft, small contraction. Because think about it, when we do a sharp contraction, there is a stop and then a release, and a stop and a release. And if you're trying to do a shimmy on 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4, or even faster than that, if it's a sharp movement, you're going to sort of get this like jerky start and stop reaction. So of course we don't want that. We want a consistent and fluid shimmy. So a very common issue or mistake that dancers will do is they reverse this. They push up from the knee. And it's the worst case is when the knee comes locking back. And part of what happens here is, if I show you from the side, this directs the energy in the hip backward, because when the knees are fully straightened like so, it's very difficult to maintain that lift in the pelvis. But also the action goes up and back. But when we do our shimmies from our knees, we're putting undue stress on the knee socket. So this is important. So I'm going to adjust the camera angle actually. Well, no, I'll just scoot back here. So I'll show you from the side here. So when we plie, and we plie enough that the vertical movement does not straighten that knee all the way, we're actually protecting the knee joint. Now yes, there will be some stress on the knee, particularly in the IT band area. If you dance a lot, if you dance recreationally, you will probably never have to worry about that, okay? But if you dance daily or several times a week, you might start to feel tension here, and you need to roll out your IT band and you need to stretch it. But if your alignment is proper and if your knees are tracking forward and they're not rolling in or out, then you're going to protect the kneecap. Now your legs are going to hurt, they're going to burn, okay? But because here we're not really bothering the knees. Yes, there's a forward and back movement. The problem lies when either, so one scenario is, yes, the knees are bent, so the dancer says, I'm doing it. All right, yes, they are bent, but when we have any degree of straightening happening here, now we're in the same problem. And imagine what's happening to the knee socket here when we slam it back in the socket here. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you so much for watching, dancers. I hope that you found this helpful. That's it for today. But check out my other video offerings, and if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like button and the subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but it really helps me out more than you might think. And also, if you're interested in doing some live classes with us, I have times and topics and dates below. Obviously, with all of this virus outbreak, we are not in the studio and we are not together, but it's actually a great opportunity to dance with people we don't normally have the chance to dance with. So I hope to see you in a live class, and if not, I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.